So, how you guys doing today? I want to talk about single parent households, male versus female. Yeah, we're going down that rabbit hole. Make sure you put your comments down below because, you know, how what did you grow up in? Dad, mom, both? Do you think one would have been better if we had both of them? If you had both, would you have been better if you went with the other parent, do you think? Shit like that. Put your comments down below because if you look at the numbers say extraordinary things, okay? So the numbers, the stats, if you will, show that single father households surpass single mothers by a whole shitload difference in every aspect almost. So I don't know if it's the lack of femininity in the male household and the lack of muscularity that could be the issue. What do you guys think? Put your comment down below. Do you think the missing the masculinity in the female is where the problem lies? It could be, but men are more structured. You know, we have to have everything systemized, structure. You know, and that's the way some of us were raised. If we had a father, is structure. Structure is best. If not, we knew, we could see there was no structure in a female household. I was raised by all females, my mom, and God bless her heart, she did what she could to raise us. She was working all nights as a nurse, take care of other sickly people, and she did that for God knows 30 years and trying to take care of us. And so me being watched was basically done by my sisters horribly. But anyway, I didn't turn out that bad. I could have turned out a hell of a lot worse. But it's been proven that in single mother households, they're more likely to go to jail, be financial issues hugely, some not even on the board, okay, SA problems, just mental problems, just so many things. And they have like, what do I want to say? How I want to say that? They have no systems or anything for living. You know what I'm saying? Where in the male household, it's all there. It's been proven. Both male and females, they excel financially, emotionally, structurally, marriage. You know, their spouses, they choose better spouses. They have a better, how I want to say that, the better emotions. That's one. But a better outlook on themselves. You know what I'm saying? They believe in themselves much more than they do in the female household. And I think one of the main reasons is that the father, and this is true, will give up all his happiness and content and everything to make sure the family thrives. So he puts all his attention into that little family unit, okay? Where the mothers, if they're not happy, I don't give a shit. I'm not happy. You know, they'll throw away all that just for their own happiness. And it's like, you'll see him, and it's proven, you guys see this, so give me that shit you don't. They go from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy. It basically, you know, that's why a lot of guys are like, I'm not raising your kids, you know, because I'm going to do a video on that too, that women with children, it's horrible. It's a horrible thing. I was a guy who was willing to take somebody else's kids and raise them as my own. That's how much I cared about the female. And they just shit all over me every time. But anyway, that's a different video. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's because of that? Or do you think it's because the male is more structured? You know, because it's like, hey, you do your homework. You know, hey, Dad, I want this. Oh, well, go to the yard and I'll give you the money to do it. You know, there's repercussions. So when they do something stupid, they get repercussions, you know. You get, grounded, games taken away, TV taken away, privileges taken away, basically. Some worst cases, your car gets taken away. I'm going to get to here and here. That's your problem, buddy. You need to figure that shit out, you know. And I happened to me, you know, when I was in the two-parent structure. And I can tell you definitely, I'm not saying my mom was the best, and I'm not saying she's the worst. For our situation in my family, Raising 3 kids by herself, I think she did pretty good. She couldn't always be there. She didn't always see what shit was up, but she tried to be what she could. Back then it was very frowned upon to be a single mother, even in the 80s. And it was just crazy, because it was like, well, what's wrong with you that the husband won't stay with? No, the husband's a fucking alcoholic. Come to find out, my dad was an alcoholic. But it was crazy, because back then he was more about his being happy. My mom was more about the family environment, which is crazy. It was reversed. And my dad had some mental issues, and from the war, and not saying he was all trip balls and shit, but he did have some issues, and a lot of them did. Alcoholism, fighting, shit like that, and the violence, and it's crazy. But when you look at the female side, they pretty much, when the child asks for anything, the same way, where the father says, what are you going to do to earn it, or how are you going to come by the money, shit like that, where the mom says, oh yeah, sure, we go this weekend and get it for you. Where's mom getting the money? Why the hell is mom getting the money instead of your ass earning it? It's kind of like the car thing. If you give the child a car, he's going to thrash the shit out of it. He's going to drive it into the ground. But if he has to earn it, even half of it, he respects the vehicle more, takes care of it better. And the same with anything, a hat, shoes. It's like, my kid wanted these, like, they weren't Jordans or anything, but they were some nice shoes. He's like, I want this. And I said, well, what are you doing to earn them? Oh, you're not going to buy them for me? No, that's not how this works. That's not how the world works, buddy. I work to get you guys. I only have to give you a certain amount of things. And that's a roof over your head, food on your plate, and clothes on your back. The rest is up to you. And he's like, what? I'm like, you want video games? Go get a job. You're not going to be there forever, okay? Go work something for a couple of weeks, get that money, go buy your game, sit down, shut up, be happy. I'm like, I do what I have to do to make sure you get what your basics needs are. You got a roof over your head, lights work, you got power. I don't have to supply you internet, but I do. I said, and you got food and clothes on your back. When you get in the shower, do you have hot water? Yeah. When you take a shit and you flush the toilet, does it go away? Yeah. What do you think's paying for that? I said, that's me going to work. I'm like, you gotta pay for this shit. Nothing's free. He learned a lot of lessons. That's why he's got a great work ethic. I mean, he worked at his first full-time job at this restaurant. He worked there for like almost 6 years for his first job. I mean, he had a couple small ones. He felt his way out, but then he found a little area he liked. He was a prep cook, and he liked it. He's like, prep desserts, shit. Like, he did all sorts of shit. But he was like me. I'll do whatever as long as my check clears. He was like, and it wasn't too physical on him, which was kind of nice, because he didn't wind up to be the biggest guy. I don't know where the hell that came from or where it went. He's really small. But I don't want to put bad thoughts in my head. But it is crazy. But I feel that because he lived with me, he came out better because of it. Where the daughter was more, I do whatever I want because mom lets me. And I think that's why she wound up getting fatter. Because whenever I came over to the house, well, she was sitting in there, sitting in her room or laying on the couch, snacks all around her. She's playing on her phone or playing video games or watching a movie or both. And it was like, what do you do? She's like, what? She goes, I go to school. All right. Education is important. What are your extracurriculars? Well, I don't have any. I just look at mom. Mom's like, she don't want to do anything. I'm like, make her. I'm like, take your ass 80s style and get your ass out of my house. Give me that phone, dude. You don't need a phone. You got a hose. But it was like, that was just crazy. I was like, why? My son's soccer, baseball. He got into mountain biking till he broke his clavicle. That was crazy in itself. That little man, he's got my pain threshold. He walked around for 2 months not seeing a doctor about his clavicle till I took him. and it healed, and he had like this big bone marrow grew over it to seal it. And the doctor's like, this is a crazy thing. He goes, one, he's got a really high threshold for pain because that shit hurts. I said, oh, no, I know. I just didn't think he didn't say anything to me. He was embarrassed because he took a jump and he tried to just be on the other side like a foot and a half. And he goes, it wound up being like a 7-foot drop. And he fell, hit his ate shit, and the handlebar went into his clavicle and he broke his neck. He got screwed up. But after that, he never really rode the same. I mean, I could see that, you know. I never rode my bike the same when I did mine. And I was like, that's crazy. But, you know, I asked his mom, do you know he had a broken clavicle? What? I'm like, yeah. Well, shit, we should take him to the doctor. I said, too late now. I already took him. Why didn't you tell me? You know, they're like, Brian, why didn't you tell me? He goes, I don't want to hear it. I'm like, oh. Is that why you told your dad? Because you think I didn't care? I'm like, oh, fuck. That's a conversation we don't want to hear about again. But it's the same thing. It was like, he didn't want to tell his mom about it because he didn't want to hear it. We can't afford it. We can't do this. We can't. The dude paid for his own $300 bike. Okay. He got his own rides to these races and all this shit, that he was doing it all on his own. Why are you taking it out on him? And I told him that. I said, look, he gets his own rides to these meets. He goes out. He's out there riding the bike. You know, he's not out there, you know, doing crack and snorting meth and shit. I said, so at least he's doing something that's good for him, healthy. And I said, regardless of where he gets to, probably lights up a joint. I said, he's still out and about. He's not in the house sitting on his ass. And granted, she could study. She's smart. She learned everything really fast. She could read a book and memorize it. And we all know how I feel about education. But that's what it was. But you could tell the environment was completely different from mine compared to his mother's. And he knew that too. And he's like, once the divorce started getting final, they're like, I'm like, all right, who do you want to live with? You know, my boy's like, I want to live with you because you're structured. And Mom, I'll let you do whatever you want. And he goes, yeah, that's not good for me. And I was just like, that's my boy. I'm like, you know, I wasn't overly structured. I said, just don't get in trouble. Don't fuck up. And he did fuck up, and I had to kick him out. But that was more because he was showing off to his friends. And he was just around a wrong group of people. But he learned hugely from it and became a really good guy. You know, and he helped me out. And I said, notice how I didn't break anything in your house. Notice how I didn't slam down your front door when I got locked out. I waited out there in the chair patiently for somebody to come home. I said, I didn't break in. Didn't damage anything. I said, I waited. And he always did that back. Yeah, whatever. I was like, it's a long story, but it was a funny story. But, you know, it is what it is. It's like, what are you guys' thoughts? Do you think one is better than the other? And why do you think this? What do you think is missing one household compared to the other? Now, I think the father side, because we do have a feminine side that comes out, especially when we're around our daughters. Don't think I wasn't having tea time with her. I was having tea time with her. I was doing all man things. You know, we do that. We answer the phone whenever they're handy. Hi, hello, hello. Hey, baby. You know, we did all that. At the same time, we went out and wrestled with the boys, played football, you know. But we showed a feminine side where women, I feel, can't. They can't bring their muscularity, whatever the hell, the manism, out as much as men can do with the femininity. You know, because, oh my God, we all can be that way. But it's like, it's crazy. Chicks just can't, you know. It's like, all right, let's go play football. All right, now come at me. I'm going to pretend to hit you. So why are we playing if we're just going to pretend? Hit me, you know. Even my son was the same way. I'm like, I'm not going to hit you. And he's like, you're not? Then why are we practicing? I said, I'm going to knock the piss out of you, but I'm not going to hit you. If I hit you, you'll die. And he's like, good point. And I'm like 10 times your size, bro. I will curtain you. I will grab you and throw you to the ground, okay? I'll try to hit you the same. I'll try and grab you and put you down the same way a tackle would. And he's like, okay, and I did. And he didn't get hurt, but he knew, there's a couple of good ones in there. And he's like, oh, I said, now you're going to get some good ones in there. You got to remember that. Sometimes the other guy gets a good shot in there and you just got to take it. I said, but then there's other times you're going to get a good shot in there and you're going to feel good. I said, so it balances out the good and bad. I said, but in the family household, I don't think there is. Because dads, did you do the dishes? No. Get your ass in there, dude. Turn that shit TV off. Get your ass in there, do the dishes. I said do that when you came home. What took you 10 minutes would have been home. I always put it in a rational person's thinking. It's like, if you would have done when you got home, would have taken 10 minutes. If you would threw homework on there, you could have been done with everything and had a snack and changed your clothes all in 30 minutes and had the whole evening free. What do you think about that? Well, there's just, do it my way tomorrow, and we'll see. And I got home, and he did it my way, and he's like, how'd it go? And he's like, shut up. Of course, no, how'd it work out? I see you playing games, so I take it you got the dishes done and the homework's done. Shut up. I'm like, yeah, but see, you're done. It's all fun time now. I said, from here until you go to bed, it's fun time, or fall asleep, whatever. I never really gave him a curfew. I let him go to bed whenever he wanted to. It's one of those, I'm going to let you do this, so you find out why. And then, his first couple of nights stayed up to like 2, 3 in the morning. I could hear him in there. And I don't remember if I don't think I was working at that time, but I could hear him in there, playing games. So, go to bed when I want to. And then he had to get up for school, and he was just like, he got home, and he was like, I'm like, how's it going, dear champ? Get your chores done? Oh, shit. Then he go in there, do dishes, and I swear to God, he fell asleep doing dishes one time. Are you all right? Oh, yeah, I'm good. And then he finished his homework, and then had his snack, and he went to bed. And he got up the next day, and I said, so what happened there, man? You smoke something or something, man? You were kind of out of it. He's like, yeah, I need to make my own curfew. And I'm like, what you learn? He goes, if you stay up late, there are consequences. That's for sure. Because I was tired all day. He goes, at first it wasn't bad. I was like, oh, my dad, I was telling everybody, my dad let me stay up as long as I want to. Oh, you're so lucky. And he goes, then when I got home, after half the day was gone, he goes, I was exhausted. I just want to go sleep. And I couldn't. I said, yeah. What would have happened if you would have went to bed at, say, a normal time? I go, you can stay up late. I said, but save the late, overnight ones for your weekends. I said, if it's your Friday night, by all means, stay up because you have Saturday and Sunday. I said, but you have all day Sunday to get back in that time frame. I said, but if you do it during a weekday, it's going to screw up your whole week. Oh, I said, yeah. I said, but that says you can't stay up a little bit longer, finish a show or something like that. I said, if you go to bed about 10:30, 11, I said, you get up at 7. I said, so that gives you about 8 hours sleep. I said, so that says you can't go to bed earlier. That says you can't go to bed later. I'm just saying, you're going to need at least 6 hours to carry over. You're young, so 5 would probably be the minimum, but 2 hours ain't going to do you. I can tell you that now. You're growing. And I said, that's just the way it is. But I had structure. His mom did not. His mom had the structure of you go to bed when I tell you, and then that's it. And she would unplug the Wi-Fi. All right, okay, what's she doing? You don't have any Wi-Fi, you can't do your homework or whatever the fuck you're doing. That's kind of stupid, but whatever. It was her house. She did what she wanted with her new husband. And yeah, he was like, my son doesn't like him at all. He's like, I'm like, does he tell you what to do? He goes, no. Didn't tell me anything. Didn't even talk to me. He goes, I'm amazed he even looks at me. He goes, he tries to spoil me. He goes, but I'm not having any of that. We got to give him a chance. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. I said, this is your mom's doing. It's not his. It was his, but I was just trying to be the nice parent. But I know what you guys just thought. Put it comment, hit the bell, man. Hit the bell. Subscribe. What's it going to hurt you? Subscribe. Have a little fun. Hey, we do have the Pay For Pantry down below, donation center. If you guys could throw a buck or two down there, appreciado. And we do pay it forward. So You guys let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? What did you grow up? What kind of environment? Did you grow in a single family? Did you have the dual? Were you lucky enough to have both there the whole time? That's very, 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 odds of that are very low, but it does happen. Usually by that time they're in like separate bedrooms and shit. The daughter's off, I'm going to take a room. But, you know, what kind of structure were you in? Were you in the single family? And were you in the mother or the fathers? I guarantee you the majority of you were in the mothers. And the courts should see this and say, hey, here are the numbers. Here's the statistics. Children are better off in the father home. A father situation. You know, the single father home. And there's more structure. And it's better for them. Because everything is automatic. These are rules. Moms, go ahead. Go out and have a sleepover with your friends. You know, there's huge differences between them. And I would take, if I had the choice when I was younger, I would have took the structure. I really would have. I would have hated it at first, but then at least somebody could have showed me what the hell I was supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But my dad was, I guess, never figured it out. But here I am. But hey guys, do comment down below. What did you grow up in? You know, are you okay? Do you think you would have been better in another situation? Would have not have mattered? How about that one? What structure are you in? You were still not going to be what you should be. But comment down below, like, subscribe. You guys have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later.